A quiet evening settles over Heartland Ranch. The sky glows with fading light, but inside the house, tension is rising. Amy Fleming's heart pounds as she struggles to hold back a truth she's hidden for far too long. Tonight the silence breaks, and when her words finally spill out, Lou will be left stunned, while young Lindy, listening just outside the door, will hear something she was never meant to. The ranch is unusually still. Horses shift softly in their stalls, the last rays of sunlight dipping behind the hills. From the outside it looks peaceful, but Amy feels anything but calm. She sits at the edge of the kitchen table, fingers nervously tracing the rim of her coffee mug. The warmth of the drink doesn't ease the chill running through her body. For days, maybe even weeks, she's been carrying this heavy secret, and the weight of it has grown impossible to ignore. Lou, focused on a stack of papers in front of her, hardly notices her sister's restless hands. She's used to Amy being quiet, used to her holding her thoughts close. But tonight is different. Amy's silence isn't her usual calm. It's a storm building just beneath the surface. Lou glances up, sensing something unusual in the way Amy avoids her eyes. In the background, the faint creak of footsteps can be heard in the hallway. Lindy, unable to sleep, is wandering closer, curious about the hushed tension in the kitchen. She stops, unseen, her little frame pressed against the wooden door frame. The soft glow of the kitchen lamp spills into the hall, outlining her silhouette. Amy takes a deep breath, staring at the floor as though searching for courage hidden in the wooden planks. "Lou," she finally says, her voice quiet but steady. "There's something I've never told you, something I should have shared a long time ago." The words hang in the air, heavy, pulling Lou's full attention away from her papers. Lou sets her pen down slowly, her eyes narrowing, her expression shifting from curiosity to unease. She doesn't speak yet, but her gaze urges Amy to continue. Amy's throat tightens, the confession rising, pressing to escape. Lindy's wide eyes blink in the hallway, her small hands clutching the fabric of her nightshirt as she leans in closer, sensing that whatever her mother is about to say will change everything. Amy opens her mouth again, and with her voice trembling, she begins to break the silence that has held her captive for far too long. "No." Lou leans back slightly in her chair, the faint scrape of wood against the floor echoing in the kitchen stillness. Her eyes lock on Amy, searching her sister's face for clues, for any sign of what might be coming. Amy grips her coffee mug tighter, her knuckles pale, and for a moment she almost pulls the words back, almost hides them again. But the truth is clawing its way out, no longer willing to stay buried. Her voice breaks the silence, low and uneven. "Lou, I haven't been honest with you, with anyone. There's something about Ty's last days, something I never told you." The air seems to vanish from the room. Lou freezes, the mention of Ty's name cutting deep, dragging old wounds into the open. She shakes her head slightly as though refusing to believe Amy would bring this up now. But Amy presses forward, her eyes glistening, her voice trembling but fierce. "Before Ty left, he said something to me. Something I kept to myself because I thought it was just grief or fear. But it wasn't. It was more. He told me he was worried about leaving Lindy behind, worried about what the future would do to her, and he made me promise I'd protect her no matter what. He knew things none of us wanted to see, Lou, and I kept his words hidden, even from you." Lou's lips part, but no sound comes. Her hand trembles as it hovers above the table, then clenches into a fist. Anger flickers across her face, but underneath it there's a raw ache. Hurt that Amy would carry such a secret alone. "Why?" Lou finally whispers, her voice tight. "Why didn't you tell me this before? I've been here right beside you. I had a right to know." Amy lowers her eyes, shame settling heavy in her chest. "I was scared. Scared that if I spoke it out loud, it would make it all too real. Scared you'd see me as weak, or that Lindy would feel the weight of it before she was ready. I wanted to keep the ranch strong, keep everyone together. But every day, Lou, every day it's been eating at me." Just beyond the doorway, Lindy's small breath catches. Her wide eyes shimmer in the dim light. And though she doesn't understand every word, she understands enough. Her father's name, her mother's broken voice, her aunt's disbelief. She holds her stuffed horse tighter against her chest, her young heart thudding with confusion and fear. Back in the kitchen, Lou pushes her chair back suddenly, the legs scraping sharply. She stands, her voice rising, shaking the fragile quiet. "You let me believe we had the whole story, Amy. You let me stand in the dark." Amy's tears finally spill, her voice breaking into a whisper meant only for her sister, but heard clearly by the child in the hall. "I thought I was protecting you." The words fall heavy, like a door slamming shut, and the fragile bond between the sisters trembles on the edge of breaking. Lou stands frozen, her arms crossed tightly across her chest, as though she's holding herself together. Her eyes are glassy, not from weakness but from fury laced with hurt. She paces the kitchen, her footsteps sharp and uneven, echoing louder than they should in the quiet house. The papers she'd been working on moments ago now scatter across the table, forgotten, like pieces of a life suddenly torn apart. Her voice rises, not in anger alone, but in disbelief. "All this time, Amy, all these years, you carried this alone? You let me fight battles blind while you held on to his words? Do you have any idea what that does to me? To us?" Amy's hands tremble as she presses them flat against the table, grounding herself against Lou's storm. Her voice is soft, almost swallowed by Lou's fury, but it cuts through because it's soaked in regret. I know what I did, and I hate myself for it. But Ty's words haunted me every day. He trusted me with them, Lou. And I thought if I told anyone, if I told you, it would only reopen wounds we barely survived." Lou stops pacing, her back to Amy, her shoulders stiff. Her silence is louder than her shouting. She takes a deep breath, but her voice shakes when she finally speaks again. "Do you even realize what you've done? You didn't just protect me. You shut me out. You shut out Lindy. You built a wall and I wasn't on the inside." At the doorway, Lindy presses her tiny hand against the wood, her chest rising and falling quickly as she tries to make sense of the words spilling from the kitchen. She doesn't fully understand promises, burdens, or secrets, but she knows the pain in her mother's voice and the sharp edge in her aunt's. She knows this is something big, something dangerous, something that doesn't feel safe. Her stuffed horse slips from her grasp and lands softly on the floor, the sound almost lost under Lou's broken words. Amy turns at the faint thud, her eyes darting toward the doorway. For a fleeting second, she thinks she saw a shadow move, but Lou's voice pulls her back before she can question it. Lou steps closer now, lowering her tone, but it cuts even deeper. "Amy, you don't get to decide what I can handle. You don't get to decide what Lindy can handle. You've carried this secret like it was your burden alone, but it belongs to all of us. Do you understand that?" Amy swallows hard, her tears unstoppable. She nods, but the guilt inside her feels bottomless, stretching into a silence she cannot fill. The air between them is heavy, almost suffocating, as though the ranch itself is holding its breath. And just outside the door, Lindy's wide eyes glisten as she takes a trembling step back, realizing that the grown-ups she depends on aren't as unbreakable as she believed. She doesn't know yet what she will do with what she's heard, but in her young heart, a new fear takes root. The house is quiet again, but it's not the comforting kind of quiet Heartland usually knows. It's the sharp kind, the heavy silence that follows after words you can't take back. Lou stands rigid near the window, her arms wrapped tightly around herself, staring out into the darkness as though the answers are hidden in the night. Amy sits slumped at the table, her face buried in her hands, her breath uneven. Both sisters are in the same room, but the space between them feels like a canyon. Neither of them realizes they are not alone. Lindy is still in the hallway, her small form frozen in place. Her stuffed horse lies abandoned on the floor, but she doesn't move to pick it up. She's too afraid, too unsure of what she's just heard. Ty's name lingers in her ears, her mother's voice cracking, her aunt's anger sharp enough to sting even from a distance. At her age, she can't fully understand promises or burdens, but she knows one thing for certain. Her mother has been keeping something big, something that makes grown-ups cry. Her lips press into a thin line as her eyes glisten. She takes a step back, careful not to make the floor creak, her small hands shaking. She doesn't want them to know she was listening. Not yet. But the secret she carries now doesn't feel like something she can hide forever. Inside the kitchen, Lou finally turns, her voice low but raw. Amy, what happens now? You've confessed, but where does that leave us? Where does that leave Lindy? Amy lifts her tear-stained face, her eyes red, her voice trembling. I don't know. I just know I can't carry it alone anymore. And I know. She deserves to know someday. Ty wanted her protected, Lou, but maybe protecting her means telling her the truth, no matter how much it hurt her. The night deepens, but sleep never comes. Upstairs, Lindy lies in bed, her eyes wide open in the darkness. The stuffed horse rests beside her, forgotten, as her mind replays every word she overheard. She doesn't fully grasp the weight of her mother's confession, but she feels it, like a stone pressing against her chest. Her small fingers clutch the blanket tight, as if it might hold her steady against the swirl of emotions she can't name. In the kitchen below, the sisters remain apart. Lou sits rigid, her arms crossed, the tension in her jaw refusing to soften. Amy leans forward, exhausted, her head bowed in silence. Between them is not just the kitchen table, but years of unspoken pain, broken trust, and now a secret that has torn through the fragile peace they've tried to build. Lou finally breaks the silence, her voice steady but cold. This changes everything, Amy. You can't take back what you've hidden, and I can't pretend to trust as easily as before. Tomorrow we'll need to talk again. But tonight, I need space. She pushes back from the table and walks away, her footsteps deliberate, the slam of her bedroom door echoing through the house. Amy doesn't follow. She can't. Instead, she stares at the flickering light above the stove, tears streaking her cheeks. She whispers into the emptiness, words meant for Ty, words she's never said aloud. I tried to keep us safe. I tried to keep the promise. But maybe I failed them both. Her voice cracks, the last syllables barely audible. And upstairs, Lindy hears her mother's broken whisper drifting through the silence of the ranch. She turns onto her side, hugging her knees, whispering back to no one but herself. I won't tell. I promise. But the promise of a child is fragile. Secrets once planted don't stay buried. They grow, they twist, and as dawn threatens the horizon, one thing becomes clear. The future of Heartland is no longer shaped only by the choices of the sisters. Now it rests in the silence of a little girl who knows far more than she should. The scene closes on the slow rising sun, casting long shadows across the ranch. The world looks unchanged, but inside the house, nothing will ever be the same. The first light of morning spreads across Heartland, golden rays washing over the ranch as if trying to erase the scars of the night. The horses stir, the rooster calls, and everything looks the same on the surface. But inside the Fleming household, nothing feels familiar anymore. Lou steps out onto the porch, her arms wrapped around herself against the chill. The world around her is calm, but her thoughts are jagged and restless. She keeps replaying Amy's words, Ty's hidden fears, and the unbearable truth that her sister carried alone for so long. For Lou, trust has always been the glue holding their family together. And now, that glue is cracking. Inside, Amy lingers by the window, staring out toward the barn. She looks tired, her face pale in the soft morning light. She whispers to herself, almost like a vow, I'll make this right. I have to. But the question that gnaws at her is how, and whether Lou will ever forgive her. Upstairs, Lindy sits at the edge of her bed, clutching her stuffed horse again. But now it feels different, heavier, like it carries her father's unspoken words and her mother's broken voice. She doesn't understand everything, but she knows a secret when she hears one, and secrets once overheard can never be unheard. Her innocent eyes now hold a weight too big for a child. The narrator's voice cuts in softly, wrapping the scene in unease. As the sun rises over Heartland, new shadows take shape. Amy's confession has cracked open old wounds. Lou's trust hangs by a thread, and Lindy, caught between innocence and truth, carries a secret that could reshape the family forever. One night has changed everything, and the storm has only just begun. The music swells, suspenseful and haunting, as the screen fades to black with one final line appearing in bold white letters. The ranch awakens to a new day, but beneath its calm surface, everything feels unsettled. The horses graze peacefully in the fields, the morning breeze dances through the tall grass, and the sky glows with promise. Yet inside the house, the air is thick with silence. Amy and Lou pass one another in the hallway without a word, their bond strained to its breaking point. Both are consumed by the same fear, that the past has finally reached forward to change their future. Lindy watches them quietly, her young face unreadable. She carries her secret like a shadow, silent, invisible, but impossible to ignore. The sound of her mother's cracked voice and her aunt's wounded anger still lingers in her ears. She doesn't know what she'll do with what she's learned, but she knows it matters. Deep down, she understands that secrets don't stay small, and they don't stay hidden. They grow. They spread. The narrator's voice deepens, carrying the weight of everything left unspoken. Heartland has weathered storms before, but this one is different. This storm comes not from outside, but from within. A sister's confession, a daughter's secret, a family shaken to its core. The choices they make next will not only decide their future, they will decide if the bonds that hold them together can survive at all. As the music rises, the faceless visuals grow darker, the ranch silhouetted against a stormy sky. A close-up of Amy's hand trembling as she grips a photo of Ty. Lou staring into the distance, her face hard but her eyes wet with unshed tears. Lindy's small hand pressing her stuffed horse tightly to her chest, her eyes flickering with both fear and determination. The screen fades to black, and the final words appear in bold, striking letters. The secret is out, the trust is broken, and nothing, not even Heartland, will ever be the same. A haunting pause, then a last whisper from the narrator. Season 19 has only just begun.